talk about something here that people have been bringing up for so many fucking years. Free energy. Everyone wants an engine or something that provides us all with energy that's free. Now, how do you define free? What is free? Everyone has a different definition for that. So, free energy. Let's see. A lot of people in their minds are probably going to say that means I don't have to burn oil because oil is going to cost me money. I got to go find the oil. I got to burn the oil constantly. It's not just a one time thing, it's constantly. I got to burn this oil or some sort of fuel source, the gasoline, kerosene, natural gas, something that is combustible is putting off heat. The heat is allowing something to turn because heat is energy. Because so heat rises, and if heat rises, that means if something is above that heat that is rising, then it's going to be able to turn. So that's how energy is delivered. Electric energy is delivered through the wires and everything by burning oil. The above the burning oil is a piece of metal. They call it a hot plate, and above the hot plate is water. And so they're burning this oil, it gets the hot plate hot, the water boils off. And so now not just the heat is rising, but there's additional molecules that can help push something along other than just air molecules, water molecules. So the water is being pushed up and turning what they call a turbine. This turbine that's turning causes static electricity, just like how when you rub your socks on the ground, on the carpet, and get statically charged up, you go and touch a light switch or something, and a little spark happens. That's called static electricity that's built up. So when you have something spinning, they have it all figured out. There's little copper brushes, and the copper brushes barely touch something. And when they're spinning, the thing that they're barely touching does exactly like our body does when our socks are touching the carpet. And it builds static electricity. The static electricity um, can be transported through copper wire without the copper wire melting because electricity is a form of heat. So without the copper wire melting. So that's how we get electricity. Another form of energy is the combustion engine vehicle. And just like I said, you have to have gasoline burning because when anything that combusts, which is this butane combusts, and there we go. We have heat and therefore energy. So your gasoline, what it does is um, moves these little pistons up and down, and in the pistons there's about six of them. That's called a V6 engine. They call it V because the pistons are shaped in the engine at like a little bit of an angle. There's two cylinders, which is the motorcycle, four cylinders, six cylinders, the V6, and then there's eight cylinders, the V8. Those cylinders are filled with, anyways, it's a very complicated thing, right? And it requires gas to work. So it's not free energy. A generator, same thing. It's pretty much like a combustion engine vehicle, but it's sitting outside your house and you plug into it. But it's doing the same thing that the electricity company is doing way out, and the what's the other fucking form of energy? Okay, so then we have windmills. Those cost things in a way. The wind does just happen, but there's not always wind. The solar panels, you have to mine, you have to find the silicone. There's silicone in solar panels and other rare earth minerals. You have to find those first. You have to turn sand into glass, oil into plastic, send that out, and then plug that in. That gathers energy from the UV um, light wave. The UV is causing something to happen within the solar panel that is producing heat, and the heat gets transported into the copper wiring. Okay. Um, so what is free energy? I don't really know what free energy means to everybody when they're talking about free energy, because solar is going to provide you with something that even when it's cloudy, I guess the UV rays can still make it through the clouds, still function. Wind energy, there's not always wind. Well, what did they do in the past for energy? One form is water mills. There's rivers, right? Well, the rivers are constantly moving, and you don't need heat or nothing because the river is moving. So you put the mill with these little wooden flaps in the river, and the river is going to move the water mill around. That water mill, you can imagine, has the ability to turn something. And the thing that I just told you about, the turbine, is a spinning something. So this water mill, I'm not sure about free. You do got to find the wood or metal, whatever, put it in the river, and but once it's in the river, and as long as the river is touching the water mill, it's going to be spinning and therefore free energy. I'm not sure, like I said, what do you define as free? Here's the one that I thought of when I was 8 years old, and I was told that this form of energy is already around. It was invented by Nikola Tesla. Someone already invented this, which I thought I came up with something. The electric motor. And I'm not sure. I never really looked into how the electric motor works, but the electric motor, I guess, I don't know. So here's what my invention is. Magnets have two poles. Magnets have a pole that will be attracted to a piece of metal or another magnet, whatever, um, and an opposite pole. Sometimes when you put the magnets together, they come together and they'll attract one another. Other times you can take there's like these little cylinder magnet things. Sometimes they're shaped like a U. Anyways, a lot of them have the two separate poles. So then you flip the magnet over and put them close together, and instead of attracting each other, they're repelling each other. All right. So I think what I was doing, I had a magnet or something, and I was making the magnet move around in a circle on the table without touching the magnet with anything. I was just using another magnet that was the opposite thing, moving it around. Well, now let's imagine we have a circle of magnets that are the push that will push this magnet around that I was pushing with one. Well, let's set multiple of those magnets around. Okay. In order to get the magnet to spin, I believe you're going to have to give it just a little tiny nudge. But once you give it that nudge, it's going to continue spinning for as long as the magnets are around. I'm pretty sure they stay magnetized. So anything that's spinning is going to be able to turn a turbine. I know that's a tiny magnet, but now if we imagine a larger magnet, an even larger magnet in a larger scenario, you put some opposing pole magnets, you put magnets around in a circle, and you put the one in the center that's shaped like a cylinder in the center of them all, and it's either going to begin moving on its own and spinning around in a circle because everything's all and I can show you guys someone that actually did this experiment. Someone else discovered this years and years later. I saw it years and years back, probably about 3 years back. Someone that has a magnet channel on YouTube has these high powered magnets that they do stuff with, and that was one of the experiments they did. He put magnets around. So I don't even have to prove it for anybody that this is possible. Someone has already done it. And the magnet just, sits there and spins. So what is free energy? As far as obtaining the magnets, I don't know about that part of it being free. Once the magnets are in place, you may have to nudge the magnet one single time. Similar to turning on the engine for your car, you need that spark to occur. The spark lights the gas up. Well, yeah, the battery in your car is literally just there. I mean, they have the radio and all this stuff now. The battery in your car is literally just there to spark the gas up because the gas is not on fire right now. Once the gas is on fire, now the engine can work because it's a combustion engine vehicle. It needs combustion to work. Combustion is explosions. The explosions are contained in this big, thick piece of metal, which you call the engine. Okay. So at the start, you always need that little kick of, well, let me get this going. And that's why they say there is no such thing as free energy. Because even if you have gear ratios worked out, let's say we have someone pedaling on a bike and the gear ratio is all worked out to where you can do just 2 pedals and the gears are going to keep spinning, spinning, spinning. Maybe they'll do 100 spins. Well, eventually it's going to, that energy that you put into the pedal is going to dwindle out and you got to do 2 more pedals and you got to keep doing that. So pedaling on the bike is not considered free energy because it's going to constantly require someone to do a couple more pedals. A combustion engine is constantly requiring gas and it requires that initial spark at the start. Electric engines constantly require a new, I don't know. I don't know how the electric engines are working right now. But like I said, there's a magnetic um, pole, magnetic difference, and you can literally, I don't know why people don't do this. I don't know. And I don't have the ability to file some patent. Maybe it's already been filed and developed. But in order to get the magnet moving, if it's in a stationary spot, you may need someone to bump it with their finger or something like that. And if it's on a large scale, you're probably going to have to think of something that will bump it to start it up again. But if it ever turns off, but once it's on, it should run for the rest of until the magnets are not magnetized anymore. And I'm not sure how long that is either. So free energy, I don't know, but those are your options. You got water mill because the water is already moving. Oh, another form of energy is the waves in the ocean. The waves are moving in and then they move out. And then they move in and then they move out. And they constantly do this. This is all the fucking time that waves from the ocean go in and then they move out. So you can put a water mill above the water in the ocean, and the water will move it as it's coming in, and the water will move it as it's coming back. And then you do that. So that's another form. Also, when water moves, you can imagine there's a thicker amount in certain spots because, okay, if it's back, then that means there's this shallow spot underneath the water. Then the water comes forward, and now what was a little bit shallow at the knees is now at your chest. So there's more weight underneath the water. Well, if we locate something at the bottom of the ocean and the wave moves in, then that's going to put weight on this thing. Maybe we could have I think I've seen this online, I'm not sure what they're doing, but something that compresses down, and then once it gets lighter, it's going to decompress. And if it presses, that's another form of a way to obtain energy is anything that's movement is energy. So if something is able to be moved up and down with weight being on it and then off of it, and then on it and off of it, then that's going to be able to produce energy because movement is energy. So what's free? I don't know. There's also the Dyson sphere, which everyone loves to contemplate a Dyson sphere, which is a big fucking thing that goes around the sun, and they're able to take the energy from the sun and send it to the planet. You guys, I don't know if we even need that if we just do the magnet thing. Sounds pretty easy, but technically, and I'm not talking about the magnet aspect, having to obtain the magnet from a mine or magnetize any piece of metal. I'm not talking about that aspect of free. Okay, let's imagine we just already have the magnets. Technically, it's not considered free energy because at the start, when we're down to the Planck time, you got to bump it with your finger. So, how do you get something to be bumped? I don't know. Doesn't require that much energy to bump it with your finger, but if you're talking on a fucking massive scale, fucking a big, we'll say, big Ferris wheel form of it, then how do you bump it to get it going? And so technically, no, it's not free. If it is set up in such a way that right when you put it down, it's going to start spinning, then maybe that could be our first form. But if you set it down and it's in between two of the magnets, it doesn't get any sort of push, then we're going to have to give it a little bump. So technically, no, it's not free. But for the rest of however long, yes, it is free. How long does a magnet stay magnetized? Let's see. Let's see how long we would have free energy if we did my invention from 8 years old, third grade. Let's see here. How hundreds of years. Permanent magnets like neodymium or ceramic fridge magnets can last for hundreds of years. This longevity is due to their stable atomic structure. In contrast, temporary magnets like a paperclip magnetized by rubbing it with another magnet can lose their magnetic properties in just a few minutes or hours. So something that's not magnet, any piece of metal like a screwdriver, can rub a magnet on it and then it's magnetized and it will hold the screw without it falling off. Permanent magnets naturally experience a very slow aging process, losing only about 1% of their strength every decade. However, several factors can drastically shorten this lifespan. Extreme heat, if the magnet is heated to or above its Curie point, which varies by material, will lose its magnetism permanently, even after it cools down. Physical shock or damage, dropping, hammering, or breaking a magnet can disrupt the alignment of its magnetic domains. External magnetic fields, being placed near a stronger magnet or an alternating current magnetic field can demagnetize it. An alternating current magnetic field. Hmm. What is an alternating current magnetic field? Oh, they're talking about um, electromagnetism, which is not what I'm talking about. The magnets I'm talking about can produce electricity if you do what I do, but there's a difference between electromagnetism and magnets that are producing electricity. Electromagnetism is the electricity is putting energy into something and allowing the magnetism to be there. And once you turn the electricity off, it's gone. You can increase the magnetism with electromagnetism or decrease it. All I'm talking about is the regular magnet, um, regular magnet, not electromagnet. So that has nothing to do with what I just said. fucking A, dude. Grinch goes hard. Dun, 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 dun. What the fuck else was I gonna talk about?
We're lucky to be in the city. They say the war was terrible, that the rest of the world was destroyed.
Candor. No.
Our founders built the wall to keep us safe, and they divided us into 5 groups, factions, to keep the peace. The smart ones, the ones who value knowledge and logic, are an erudite.
Erudite.
Amity on the land. They're all about kindness, harmony, always happy. Candor value honesty and honor. They tell the truth.
That's the one I forgot. Amnidite or some shit.
And then there's Dominic. They're our protectors, our soldiers, our police. I always thought they were amazing. Brave, fearless, and free. Some people think Dominic are crazy. They kind of are. My faction is our nation. The others will call us stiffs. We live simple life, selfless, dedicated to helping others. Even people factionless, the ones who don't fit in anything. Because we're public servants, we're trusted to run the government. My father works alongside our leader, Artemis. It all works. Everyone knows it. Except for me. I know a girl from the mountain. She stands apart from the crowd. She loves the sea and her people. She makes her whole family proud. Sometimes the world sins against you. The journey may leave a scar. The scars can heal and reveal just where you are. People you love will change you. The things you have learned will guide you. And nothing on earth can silence the quiet voice still inside you. And when that voice starts to whisper, Moana, you've come so far. Moana, listen. You know who you are. Who am I? I'm the girl who loves my island. I'm the girl who loves the sea. It calls me.
Sailboat. Is a sailboat free energy? Sometimes.
Daughter of the village chief. We are descended from the voyagers who found their way across the world. They call me.
Anytime you gotta move it, it's not considered free energy. Because your body requires food. has energy and sleep.
Ma'am, I don't know who you are, but I'll kiss your ass if I ever meet you. I was finding droppings on my kitchen counter
Oops.
every single morning, and I.
I haven't seen the new Hunger Games, but that's another good one, kind of like Divergent. And I always try to tell people watch those movies because it will teach everyone that a utopia is just not possible. That's what The Matrix is about. That's what Divergent series is about. That's what Hunger Games is about. And Equilibrium and Maze Runner. Different forms of people imagining attempt at utopia, which means everything is like everyone's on the same height pretty much. That's why they always like to brag about there's no war and there's no crime, um, there's no money. You'll notice that in each of those movies. No money in Hunger Games. There's no money in any of them. And that's what the utopia is trying to say. Well, this is the perfect way to live. This is how we live utopia. Because obviously, the planet we're living on, the universe we're living in, is not ideal for everybody, which means it's dystopia. Now, do any of them seem like something that you would want to live in? Because the inevitable outcome, everyone goes, well, if this was just this one thing, fucked everything up for everything. The Divergence fucked it up. What's her name? Katniss fucked it up. The Equilibrium dude, he fucked it up. He didn't take his dose. Let's see. Thomas, he fucked it up for everybody. Fucking Thomas. And what was the other one? Matrix. Neo, he fucked it up for everyone. If it wasn't for Neo, then everything would work. But that's what everybody's point that, because most of these come from books. So Brave New World was one of the ones that started the whole. Everyone was into writing about utopias around that time of like Brave New World, and that's why all these ones are kind of older books, Lord of the Rings and stuff, because in that time they were enduring people that were leaders that were attempting to make the planet a utopic planet. And this is the king and the queens, the Nazis, whatever names you want to fill in with each thing, the communists, the socialists, the whatevers, have this utopic society that they say if we just do things this way, this is how it's going to be. And in each story, just like reality, there's always something that does not work out. And that's just how it is. So everyone's going to have to stop their attempt at let's create something utopia because it's not possible. It's an opinion word that everything is um, perfect or whatever. It's all just opinion. Some people don't like when things are perfect. It's annoying that everything is so fucking perfect. So therefore, how are we supposed to ever get along? Anyways, there are actually people out there that do believe we can create a utopic planet, a utopic existence, and they dedicate their lives to trying to spread it because it works with their one little fucking cult, or it works with their one little fucking neighborhood or one little fucking city, and their one little island. It just happens to work out, and so they're just so motivated to continue. Well, let's spread to the next city, and then we're gonna go beyond that. That's pretty much what all the books of laws are about. The Bethlehem Book of Law, the Saudi Arabia Book of Law, the any of the other ones, they're all about if you live this way, we will live utopia. Well, it doesn't work out for everybody. Give my gun away, is that alright? You don't shoot it, I'm supposed to, is that alright? Give my gun away, is that alright? Alright, that alright? Give my gun away, is that alright? You don't shoot it, is that alright? Give my gun away, is that alright?
Up next, we have this stunning, juicy 19.2-ounce cup of G-Force IPA. Do I get 4%? 4%. Do I get 5? 5. It's a 7. It's not bad. Like it's an 8. 8 right here. It's a 9. A 10. 10% going once. 10% going twice. stories every day. I'm sick of always hearing all the sad songs on the radio all day. It is terribly mine, you know, the sensitive guy that is lost in alone, yeah. I hate favorite restaurant, favorite movie, our favorite show. We would stay up all the night, we would laugh and get high, never answer the phone. I can't forget, can't forget, can't give it what went wrong, 'cause you said this was right. You fucked up my life. Always carrying sappy love songs on the radio. This place is fucking cursed in its way, and I can never escape when my heart explodes. I can't forget, can't forget, can't forget what went wrong, 'cause you said this was right. Turns down. Damn. Let me think. Think this through.
Let me think. Dams. Dams are a form of free energy. Any dam is retaining water, mostly retaining water and releasing a tiny amount. They blocked off a river, and the river fills up on one side and continues to be river once it's filled up. Well, the spot where it's continuing to be river can have once again something that spins. If that thing spins, it can spin a turbine, and any turbine can produce electricity. Or you don't even need a turbine. The thing that is spinning can turn a gear, which can turn a gear, which can turn a gear, and you don't need electricity to turn gears. All you need is the gear to turn. So things can be moving around, and all you have to do is put the watermill in the water. No electricity required whatsoever. What was I gonna say? Oh, I just had soda. It's 12:22. I'll be right back because I have to use the restroom. All I was doing before this was watching some UFO videos on YouTube, Casper site, and I think that was it. And I only got through a few, but got me thinking about a few things. I didn't discuss it on this one. I'll probably discuss some of that stuff on another one because I'm just tired mentally. And if I get into too deep of topics, then I know it's gonna be long, and I know it's gonna be exhausting to get through, and I want to get through it without yawning and with the proper words to get through it, because it's just a process of setting things up in such a way that is comprehensible if I'm bouncing all over the place from topic to topic. So it just happened, and I'll probably listen to some more first and get through all the videos first, and then either directly after that or sometime after that, I will probably talk about the stuff I'm thinking about right now. But I've already shared a little bit on it. It's just commenting things is way more difficult than speaking on it. It's hard to set up comments in a way that is short enough to convey the message, because I know our minds are constantly racing and has a lot going on in one single any moment in the day or night. There's always something. So to keep people's attention with the comment, it's fucking hard. And a lot of people are also, everyone's going to endure some sort of memory loss. Well, some people are enduring a heavy amount of memory loss, things like that. So constantly, there's this, when you're speaking, constantly you have to retouch on the topic that you've already spoke about, just to remind people, here's what we're talking about. And then, but the speaking on it, it's like you can get a little bit more in depth as opposed to leaving things short. And it's almost like a comment. Um, Sending it out is going to still require them to do some sort of contemplating, whoever you're sending it out to, the planet. And the speaking form of stuff is like you can just listen and uh, proceed to stop contemplating it, because here's all the information. And but a lot of times people can figure things out. Comment is at the same time could just be a paragraph, and then they sit for themselves. You let them figure it out, the Sudoku their way in figuring something out for themselves, or get further along. Then when you have the discussion, it could be just filling in a couple points, or it could be confirming what they figured out. And I think a lot of times you gotta give people a chance to do that. Otherwise, um, it will become you're the one who's contemplating it. Like, or I'm the one who's contemplating it. So I'm going to get smarter and smarter, and the other person that is just getting the answers has not contemplated stuff and is going to have to continue to require answers in the future. So one person is potentially figuring out everything, doing all the fucking work, when if we have multiple people that are close to that same level of intelligence, then a lot more can be figured out. Even though it can be figured out with one person, but like I said, there's memory loss, time, energy, exhaustion, uh, sometimes loss of translation. People speak differently everywhere. So, um, like I said, you guys, I'm one person, and I don't want the future to think I'm a slave to the species. I don't want aliens to think I'm slaving myself out. I don't want people to think that um, because one time I was thinking about that with leadership. If I and anyone could do this to themselves, but if you imagine yourself in a leadership position with your life circumstances the way that they were, did I get slaved out into being a leader? If I were to become president, what is the reason why? What things do people agree with me on to the point that here he's now leader? Well, I agree that we should be freeing slaves. Why do you agree that we should be freeing the slaves? Um, and then forced to endure topics that I'm not interested in to get to the level of intelligence that I'm at, just to be able to say we shouldn't be educating people in these topics because there's plenty of other fucking topics that people are actually interested in, actually have money in, actual fucking wealth, and we don't have to force anybody to concentrate. Isn't that crazy? We don't have to do this whole SIP technique of let's find the genius in the school. Who's the genius? Who's the second genius? In these topics, too. That's all they find out. Well, in these topics, this person's very fucking smart. What we need those topics for, I don't know. I don't know. Because most people are watching TV. Well, what's on fucking TV? Drawings. Fill in the fucking blank on the drawings with some art, with some colors. What else is on TV? Video games. And what does that have to do with world history? They'll figure out a way to connect it, you guys. Well, Disney, did you know that Walt Disney, he was an ambulance driver during World War II? Um, he wanted to do this, but he was actually an ambulance driver. And did you know for World War II, that's the whole planet. The Nazis did this across the whole planet. All right, now let's dive right into the rest of World War II, Auschwitz, and um, the Battle of Bunker Hill. Remember the Battle of Bunker Hill? You gotta know. I mean, if you like Disney, you gotta know about the Nazis. You gotta know about World War II. He was an ambulance driver, you guys. He wanted to do something to help out, and that was an occupation that was available. Being an ambulance driver. Walt Disney himself, boom, he's an ambulance driver. How could you not know that? All right. Um, I'm going to. think I'm gonna go watch more stuff on YouTube and lay down and probably fall asleep because at one point I almost did get relaxed enough to fall asleep and then I woke up to something on my mind woke me up. And yeah, all right, my phone I know is getting hot, so I'm just gonna